So, just say, okay, red shoes, what were you thinking? Why were you thinking? What were you thinking?
Okay.
And your 8x10. What was up with that?
Which one?
Your 8x10, the red shoes program was like this?
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that picture. My friend Beth Klonowski, who took photos of my dog, she's an amazing pet photographer. She took pictures that she's in my acting class. We used to do repetition. I'm looking at you. You're looking at me.
Oh
Yes,
my
I'm
God,
looking
I
at
give
you.
you a headache. Okay.
Sorry. And Beth is an amazing photographer, and she does people, but she's really amazing with pets. So she did my headshots, and I just thought, I saw, you know what it was? It was like, I saw the guy that did Blood Brothers from England. Is it
Connor Neal?
Yeah. And he had this like really brooding like actor picture, like, and I said to her, I said, I want one like that. I don't want one of these like face fronts. So we're like up in Central Park in the ruins, and I was like, you know, contemplating a bug or something.
Click. It was like,
I was like looking at a bug, and I was like, ooh, that's art. My agents hated that too.
it's called a headshot. We should actually see your head. Like, you like,
Hey, you know. Okay, well, let's get back to the show. It was during Phantom, and this was like a big deal. I remember how excited I was to like sing for Julie Stein, because I knew who he was. So many people like in the Red Shoes didn't even know who he was, because they were just
dancers
from the dance world, and they just really didn't know that genre. And
you grew up with Mama Rose, so it's totally appropriate. Actually.
Happy Halloween, by the way. And I was really excited because it was going to be like a vehicle to show off my piano skill, because I had to play the piano for my audition as well.
Oh wow!
So I went in and did a classical piece and a ragtime piece, and then sang for Julie Stein, and was so happy to get the job. And we did the workshop with Susan Schulman, and it was. The workshop I thought was really good.
That happens all the time. Every show that's bombed has had amazing workshops, like Sue Supply. It's true. It's so
The
bizarre.
workshop, we'd only done Act 1 of the play, but we had, Laura Lubovitch had choreographed the whole ballet. So we had Act 1 done and the ballet, and it was quite wonderful. And, at least in my opinion, it was. And then we went on like a 2-week break between the workshop and the actual rehearsal process. During that time, Susan was, for political reasons like I can't go into, was let go, was fired, and replaced with Stanley Donen, who did the movie version of Singing in the Rain with Gene Kelly.
Right, in 1910.
Right.
Go on.
1954.
Alright, whatever. That's just a comedy. Full exaggeration. Rule number 1 in comedy. Okay, go on.
And we all came back. It was like coming back to school, and all of a sudden your favorite teacher had been fired and replaced. And we all had, all of the leads, we had private one-on-one meetings with Stanley to talk about his concept for the show. And it was my turn, and I went in, and he's looking at me, and he goes, I saw the workshop, Hugh, and you don't look right. How would you feel about being bald? And my reaction, I said, bald? He goes, I'm picturing Brecht with bald, maybe with some glasses, which told me he wanted to fire me. And I said, well, let me think about that. I said, Burn This was pretty popular still, and I said, what about like going the opposite route with like the John Malkovich, the tortured composer with like the long hair and the glasses? I said, that would be more appealing. And he goes, no, we'll think about it. Oh God. So, you know, what's the line in Bambi? If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. It was, from that moment on, it was possibly the most nightmarish and abusive.
He's old school. He's like a dance director, so I'm sure.
I don't think he knew my name, because most of the time I was called moron.
Oh.
During rehearsal?
Oh yeah, and you know, being of the therapy generation, I said, Mr. Donen, please, you know, don't
hurts
call.
my feelings.
Please don't. I said, please don't call me a moron. Then don't act like one. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, and in hindsight, I wish I had popped him one and been fired. However, when it was my first time creating a role, and I wanted a cast album and an opening night party and all the
And closing night in one.
that go, yeah, really. But I swallowed so much crow because I wanted all of those things. And other people in the show, Renee Ceballos and Tim Jerome, who were phenomenal, confronted him on a few things, and they were fired immediately.
Right, when it's supposed to start with
Immediately, Leslie Brown.
Oh my God.
All because they either questioned his direction or he just didn't want, basically he didn't want anybody that was cast in the show. It was horrible, and we had 3 versions of the script going at once. We were performing one version, we were rehearsing we had played, everything was color-coded. We had blue pages that we were performing, yellow pages that we were rehearsing, and then new orange pages were coming in for Act 2. And they were just getting worse and worse because Marcia Norman was no longer allowed to write the script. Stanley would stand over her at the computer and say, "Now Vicky should say this." And he was a monster.
And who hired them? The producers?
Mm-hmm.
And who are the producers?
I forget, honestly. I really do. I blocked out so much of the experience because it was such a nightmare.
Oh my God.
And anyhow, so we had, I remember, and Roger Reese, we were all on stage one night, and they handed us out like these new orange pages, and every copy we got, it just was, we were getting like out of the frying pan, you know, into the towering inferno, basically. It was horrible. And I remember this moment because Roger, he was like, they handed me these orange pages. I read about 5 lines. I threw the script up in the air and I started singing, "Soon we're gonna close, I can feel it. Soon we're gonna close, I can help." And he was like, "Hugh, come on, we have to be, keep the morale up." And I was just like, "Roger, this is horrible. You know it's horrible. I know that it's horrible." It was horrible. And my reaction to situations like that is I was putting so much stress on that I got strep throat. And I only get sick when I'm really angry or really stressed. It's amazing how I think our emotions are so connected to
Who's hey?
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. And I got strep throat and was out of the show.
Because you couldn't speak, so your body.
I wasn't expressing my truth.
Just saying, Dr. Phil. Exactly.
And I got strep throat, and I was out of the show for about a week. And during that week, there were many changes that were made. However, I would come to rehearsal and watch with a notepad and write them down so that I was prepared when I came back to the show. My brother and his wife were flying up from Florida to see a performance, and I was contemplating going back in that night for them. Stanley came to me and said, "We have big money people coming tonight, and I don't want you doing this show. I want your understudy to do the show." I said, "Well, Stanley, my brother is coming up from Florida to see the show, and I really want to do it." "Well, your brother can see the show another time. You can't jeopardize the show for your ego." And
But it's your role.
yeah. And the stage manager overheard this and came to me and said, "Okay, Hugh, pretend you didn't hear any of that. What he just did is illegal." And as an equity member, he said, "They cannot ask you. If you want to do the performance tonight, you are entitled to." And the producer, everybody was pressuring me to stay out. And I said, oh, here we go again. I said to the stage manager, I said, "I'm in." And I went and had a glass of wine. I'm not an alcoholic. No, I did. I went out and had a glass of wine and I didn't miss one new line, one piece of blocking.
Oh my God.
I kicked ass. I went in there with such a purpose. The only thing I did was I call it, I barbered up the show. I took all of I did anything that I wanted, or anything that felt from my heart, I did that night. And Julia came back to my dressing room.
Stein?
Yeah, he came back to my dressing room and he said, "You did a great show." He said, "Cut the extra notes though."
That was nice though.
No, he said, "I didn't like it when Barbara did it either." He's a
1963.
smart guy. He's smart. I mean, he was on kidney dialysis 3 times a week. And that was the other thing. Because Julie was not well, he was not at every rehearsal. So they got away with murder, cutting things, and cutting songs. And here's my last bashing story. But Stanley came to me and said, "Could you not sing so well? I feel like you're showing off." You know, because Margaret's a ballet dancer, and she sings, and then you sing, and it sounds like you're trying to show her up. Can you sing a little bit more?
Make the show less enjoyable.
And again, I could kick myself. I didn't punch him. Instead, I went around internalizing this, and I'm going, did he ask Roger Reese to act less than full out? Did he ask Margaret to mark the dancing? And he's telling me to do like a Rex Harrison when I've been hired to sing Julie Stein. It was horrible. It was horrible. We opened on a Thursday, we got our notice on a Friday, and closed on Sunday. And I was so happy that I was free to have Christmas and the holidays in peace. And it was such a damaging experience that I went to my agents and I said, I can't do another musical right now. I said, do whatever you have to do, get me a straight play. And they hustled, and I got a Joe Wharton play at the Dallas Theater Center, which was like no money, no mics, one costume, just an amazing cast of actors in a theater where you actually had to use your real voice. There was no tech. It was just an amazing, it was the most self-esteem building experience. It was like what the doctor ordered after that. And I bounced back and went right into Showboat. So it was, but that